This episode is the last episode of the year, and 2024 was amazing. And as I sat down and I wrote all my notes, I was like, oh my God, I did so much. But I still somewhere, I had this feeling that it wasn't enough. I had this feeling that there was a little bit of failure in this year. And then when I sat down and I wrote this, I was like, oh my God, this has been an amazing year of lessons. It has been an amazing year of business. It has been so many things that I can wait to share with you. And I hope that you can learn not only from my mistakes, but from my lessons that I'm going to share with you. Hello, friends. Welcome to the Be You brand world. I'm Ati Greenspan. I'm a personal brand and business coach, and I'm here to help you build a profitable personal brand that you absolutely love showing up for. If you're looking to build your $1 million personal brand, sell out your services, and do it all while fulfilling your purpose and having the best time ever, you are in the right place, my friend. With no fluff strategy, a tiny bit of a spice attitude, F-bombs for days, mindset, and energy work, we will grow a life and business that you are fucking obsessed with. Welcome aboard, my friend. Well, hello to another episode of the Be Brand podcast. This episode is the last episode of the year, and 2024 was amazing. And as I sat down and I wrote all my notes, I was like, oh my God, I did so much. But I still somewhere, I had this feeling that it wasn't enough. I had this feeling that there was a little bit of failure in this year. And then when I sat down and I wrote this, I was like, oh my God, this has been an amazing year of lessons. It has been an amazing year of business. It has been so many things that I can wait to share with you. And I hope that you can learn not only from my mistakes, but from my lessons that I'm going to share with you. I'm going to start with the lesson number one. And I feel like a lot of the other lessons are stemming from this one in so many ways. Number one is I not my business. Now, what does this mean? I feel like as women, as personal brands, there is this connection between our emotions and who we are and our business. And so many times we are giving meaning to things in business, or we're letting things affect our business that they shouldn't. So I'm going to tell a story so you can actually see where I'm coming from. At the beginning of the year, my mom actually moved here from Argentina. It was a year, December 10th, which that was a long life dream. Like I have lived in the US for 20 something years at this point, and I always wanted to move my parents here. So now, with that being said, I have worked a lot on my mom-wound relationship. And, while she was living in Argentina, it was so easy to keep all these things separate, right? I am here, my business is here, and my mom is over there. Now, truth is that when I had all these triggers inside of in front of me, and I kind of want to share this because I think that it's so important to be vulnerable and to share from a place of truth. Like my mom wound is fear of rejection. For years and years and years and years, I dealt with this. Now, a lot of the times and a lot of this trauma has nothing to do with reality. And I'm not going to get into that, but that was my trauma. So when faced with this, I found myself many days in my office, unable to perform, unable to show up on camera, or unable to show up with confidence. And I thought that I had worked so hard in all of these things internally just to only have them come back. Now, what happened though, this is where my systems, my plans, my brand guide actually showed up to the rescue. What does this mean? We always, every year around November, we do a planning session with Kayla. She's my executive assistant. And we put all of our launches in the calendar. She starts working on the back end stuff. We have content that we start creating way ahead of time for our launches. And this is our main way for us to bring people into the View Brand Academy and all of the other services that we offer. But this is our main lead generation conversion event that we do every quarter. Now, the reason why I share this is because the moment I became my emotions, I wasn't able to perform. So the lesson that I learned here is I actually had to learn to look at my business as something outside of me, okay? As something that I cannot look at my business through my emotions. And towards the end of this episode, I'm actually going to share with you a huge win that I have, something that I shared in social media, but I haven't shared in the podcast yet, but that actually represents this to the extreme. So you are not your business. Yes, you are the brand. You inherently is what makes, especially if you're a service provider, what makes your business different, but you are not your business. And this is where it's our responsibility to do the internal work to be able to separate this. I want you to ask if you ever dealt with this or if you are having a lot of emotions. And this is going to come up in several lessons because I think that everything intertwines, right? But one of the things that I want you to ask yourself is, am I having feelings of I am not good enough? I am having feelings of who's going to listen to me? Or doubt, all of that when you are going to show up on camera, when you are going to create content, when you are going to maybe network. Because one of the things that actually gave me so much awareness around this is when I used to bartend. I mean, we all have bad days, you guys. We all have days where life is lifing, right? Like we all have situations in our life. We all have some sort of trauma. We all have shit going on. But I remember this is something that as I was journaling around, I am not my business. I remember I used to be able to go bartend and I would get there and I'm like, oh, I don't feel like doing this today, right? But then I would get behind the bar. And for those that don't know, we used to perform and we used to flip bottles and we used to do shows and all the things. The moment I stepped into the bar, it was like I was like on character. And this made me think, okay, who is Ati business owner? Who is Ati CEO? How does she showed up to her office if there was, instead of just me and my computer, there was a staff here, right? That depends on me. Because right now, most likely, it's you and a VA, you and an assistant, but it's you in your office. So how do you need to show up separate from your business where you step into your business and you are that person that can perform, that can make decisions, that can show up on camera, regardless of what is happening in your life? Why? Here's where plans and systems and brand guides come into place. Especially, I'm going to actually go into the brand guide because if you are having a lot of emotions around creating content, most likely comes down to not trusting your gut, not trusting your expertise, not trusting that people are going to want to listen to what you have to say. And if you have your brand guides and you have your content pillars, and under your content pillars, you have your mini topics, whatever it is that you already have that in a document and you already know what you're selling for the rest of the month. You know what you're selling for the rest of the week because you already planned it. Guess what? It's going to be so much easier to show up. So this lesson of I am not my business have served me really, really well because at the beginning of the year, I really sat in my office many days unable to perform. Something that really, really helped me was having self-awareness of this. We're going to talk about self-awareness again in a few lessons, but having self-awareness, what is happening? I'm going through this. how can I change this? Okay. So I wanted to share that one first because that one was hard for me to swallow because I thought that I was completely over this. Right. And then it showed up and I was like, holy shit, this hasn't been like this in years. I've been performing in my business for many, many years. So when this showed up, it was kind of like, hello, there is still work to be done.
Are you watching the podcast on YouTube? Make sure to hit subscribe and come follow us on Instagram at @ati.greenspan.
So lesson number 2, and this is for you if you're still in your 9 to 5, or if you're pivoting, or if you are trying new offers, whatever, when you are trying something new, I want you to be mindful of saying, well, screw that, I don't want to do that anymore, or whatever it is. So let me actually tell you a story and then we'll go into it. So before you let go of something in your business that actually is working, okay, have a plan. Don't knock what you have until at least the new things start showing some results. Why am I saying this? So I spend most of the year, and some of you already know this because I share this in other episodes. I spend most of the year creating some digital products, programs that people can take when I am not there, right? That I can sell digitally and they don't require my involvement. Now, this took time. This took new knowledge. This took market research. This took a lot of work, right? So what happened though is I actually at some point decided to actually not launch in a quarter. There was one quarter where I decided not to launch in order to get all these things. Now, there is 2 ways that you can look at this in your business, and there is no right or wrong. I'm just sharing my experience here. For me, what happened is I ended up with a quarter that I felt really behind in our revenue. And why? Is because what we were doing is we were creating a masterclass, like a short masterclass. And then from there, we would sell the program. And then we would sell the program also on its own. And these programs were super successful. We had 30, 40 to 100 people in these boot camp, these master classes to then enroll into the programs. Now, this is the thing though. Our flagship, which is the Be Brand Academy, is actually our bread and butter. And now why am I sharing this so openly is because the next one is actually going to be you need to work towards recurrent income. That's the next lesson. But this is the thing. If you depend on your income, and the reason why I said this is because your situation might allow you to actually test all the things and not make any money. But I don't know you, I'm a 2-income household, okay? We have a beautiful life, but we use both of our incomes. We take care of our parents, and there is all these other things that happen in our lives in order for us to have the life that we have, right? So if my business doesn't bring the money that I am used to, that I am paying myself, I pay myself a CEO salary, I cannot pay myself, right? So what I learned from this is that it's okay to build new things and try new things. Please do not take this as do not try new things, because that is not what I'm saying at all. I want you to try all the things, but I want you to be mindful of what is actually paying your salary or your bills right now. I see so many people, and I talk to a lot of people, including some of my clients, and I'm constantly bringing them in, is you need to keep the main thing the main thing. The extra stuff needs to be extra. Now, this doesn't mean you're going to be doing extra forever. So I want to give you an example with this. Last year, I created all those products. Now, this year, we're starting to sell a lot of those products through running ads, through our newsletter, etc. Right? Now, the reason why I'm sharing this with you is I want you to, if you have a job, okay, if you have a job, if you're still in your 9 to 5, before you let go of your job, have your offer ready. Have your business, have a system, have a plan, have your offer ready, have a few clients already, so your business is already functioning before you let go of your investor. I love, love, love thinking of your 9 to 5 as an investor instead of thinking, oh, my soul sucking job. Okay. So if you have a main offer, don't let go of your main offer. Well, in my case, just so you guys know, I was never letting go of Be Brand Academy. I just felt like I didn't want to be continually be live launching, which this brings me to another one of my lessons, which is you're always able to pivot and you are allowed to change your opinions. But I'm going to get there in a second. This is so important for you guys because you are here to build a company. You are here to build business. You're here to build something that you can at some point systematize, and you don't have to be there day in, day out in order to make sales. So I like the idea of thinking of a restaurant. So if you are a restaurant and you have a menu that it's already, people are loving it, right? And people are coming and people are paying and you're making money. Now it's perfect for you to maybe introduce some items to your menus, but you don't want to like break the menu and now, oh, we're not serving that anymore. But now the new menu is not ready yet for you to actually make money. That is pretty much where I'm going with this story. Like I did that, guys, not a good place to be in because I felt like I was constantly trying to catch up to our goal, to our number goal, right? In order for us to hit our goals because I butchered myself on the first part of the year, the first 6 months of the year. Okay. So I hope that one is very micro, but I see this with a lot of people. Okay. I see this with a lot of people. Lesson number 3. And if you are a service provider, if you are a coach, if you are, if you're listening to my podcast, you're probably a service provider, you're a coach. Recurrent income and you constantly having your pipeline full. This is the thing. The best thing that I have ever done for my business, and I've done this very, very, very early on. I want to say that this was maybe in 2020 before the pandemic. It was, I launched a membership that was very low ticket at the time. I think that on the pre-sale, we sold 10 spots. Now, this wasn't a lot of money, but this is what made for me. And I want you to think of the power of this. Where are you right now in your business and where you can put something in place like this? Now, I'm going to give you 2 options and 2 examples, but the reason why recurrent revenue is queen and what I learned from it is when I actually made these mistakes and I was actually creating all these other products and I decided not to launch, guess what? When I actually realized what was happening, I was so grateful that I had people already on my program from sales I have done a year previous to that they were still on payment plans, right? That were my recurrent income from several different products that we had. We still have that membership at the time. We have Be Brand Academy, right? So what I want you to really understand is how can you start the month not at 0? Now, and this is something that I talk to my clients a ton. I don't want to confuse you. However, I kind of want to put this into perspective for you. You may have to take some one-on-one clients first before you launch a membership, before you launch something like this, because you don't have enough big of an audience in order to sign up people into a membership. It's actually easier to close 1 or 2 high-ticket clients because you need less conversations that for you to actually close 10 or 20 people in a membership, no matter how cheap it is. If you are not known yet, this may not be something for right now, but I want you to have it in your radar that that's where you are heading, because that's when your business starts being a real freaking business. That is when your business starts being something that pays you every single month, even if that month you decide not to sell anything, okay? Like I did, not to sell at that scale. So I want you to understand that recurrent income is the goal, the long-term goal, okay? And in order to do that, I kind of want to like bring this. If you're a service provider that you don't have something that creates recurrent income, like I want to break this for you. This is kind of our structure that we do inside the Academy. Visibility, prospecting, client nurture, sales. What this means is I see a lot of clients that go into this fast and famine cycle because when they don't have any clients, they're like, I need to sell, I need to sell, I need to sell. They go on selling, they show up on social media, they're going networking, they're speaking, they're hosting workshops, and then they make sales. And then they turn around and they stop doing the activities that actually got them there. Now, what happens is now you close whatever contract you have. So you are still working with clients one-on-one, right? Whatever. And now you're like, oh, shit, this contract is coming to an end. And now I don't have anybody in the pipeline. And that is when you start feeling like a failure. You start feeling like you're not good at business. But the problem is that what you are actually experiencing is you have an issue with keeping your personal brand top of mind for people, keeping yourself and your business top of mind for people so they can actually buy from you day in and day out. You should look at your calendar and you should say, okay, what am I selling this week? How am I selling it? And you should be making sales every single day. You should be selling every single day. In your social media, on your email, when you talk to people, get people on discovery calls. We have plenty of episodes that talk about these. But again, recurrent income is your long-term goal. And if I would have to distill this into what is the goal if you're not there yet, is in constantly having your pipeline full of people either on discovery calls or a workshop on the calendar, anything that it is to bring people into your offers. Okay. I wanted to put that out there. This one is so important, you guys, because you're building a business. You're not building a hobby. So I always talk about building a profitable personal brand. And this is what makes us different, right? We talk about launching. We talk about putting your offers to make sense with the difference that you want to make in the world, but you have to make money. You're not going to be able to bring your personal brand into the world unless you are so fortunate that you really don't have to sell anything. That's fine. But I guarantee you, if you're here listening to this podcast, most likely that is not the situation. Lesson number 4. Okay. This one, you guys. Expansive decisions are the only way forward. So another story of how I learned this one. You already know that I have an event that is called Be Real Live. It's my live conference that I host every year. Yes, every year. And this was the second year that we hosted it. Now, I kind of want to preface this with this. There is a lot that goes into hosting an event like that. This year we had 100 women. Last year we have 80. This year my goal is 150 women in the room. I want a full sold out event. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because I want to say that it was about around April. I am not sure. I couldn't even tell you exactly when it was, but there was a moment where we started paying for the venue ahead of time. A lot of the things are on credit cards and kind of like a loan because we have to sell tickets in order to pay for the event. We also have sponsors, but all of that is happening all in real life, right? The risk that this takes is way, way bigger than usually, like me, I'm a coach or you're a coach service provider, the risk taking that we are usually used to taking. Somewhere over there, I decided that I was not going to do the event. And I was like, I don't want to do it. It's not on my heart. I am not excited about it. And my husband, when I told him, he was like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely. I am sure. And he was like, are you sure it's not fear? Are you sure it's not fear? And I was like, what do you mean fear? What do you mean? Like, no, of course it's not fear. Well, a few days go by and I had these like emotions again, right? Back to I am not my business in my chest. And I started talking to my women council. Now, if you ever heard me talk about my women council, that is these friends that I talk to, right? Like Cassidy and Gabby and Nicole, they're business owners. And while I listened to their feedback and everybody was like, yeah, Queen, do whatever you need to do and don't do it or whatever. There were two people in my team, which are coaches inside the academy, and they actually challenged me. And they challenged me and they asked me, like, if the money wasn't an issue, how would you feel? And I was like, well, if the money wasn't an issue, this would happen and this would happen. And what happened was when they started challenging me, they took me out of the fear. And if you're watching on YouTube or in Facebook, you will see this. But if you are on the podcast, I'm kind of like making with my hand, like, right? They took me out from the fear and they put me on my purpose. And the moment that I was on my purpose, I started thinking of the women that were going to come to the event. I started thinking of the women that have wrote messages to me the year before, and they were sharing their transformations and all the businesses that were launched the year before, and all the things that happened because of that event, and how alive I felt during that event. And that moment, I knew that not doing the event, while it was safer, it wasn't an expansive decision. It was a decision being made from fear. It was a decision being made from, I just want to stay here and I don't want to take any risk. And this is the thing. I ended up going ahead with the event. We sold it out. The moment I decided to do it, I remember I sat here in my office and I journal about it. I was like, if I'm doing this, I'm going all in. And I started writing what would going all in with this event would mean. And I wrote reaching out to sponsors, reaching out to everybody that came last year, doing personal invitations, whatever. There was like a list of 10 things that I put in there. What happened though was not only the event was amazing, if I say so, but so many women say that. Not only the event was amazing, it was our biggest selling event of the year. At the event, we sold $80,000 worth of masterminds and Be Brand Academy. But then on top of that, the event felt so easy. Once I got on stage and once I was there and I was facilitating the event, I was expanded forever. And I was my highest self during that event. Now I'm sharing this with you so you can look inward. What are some of the decisions that you are making in your business from a place of safety, and what are the decisions that you're making in your business from a place of fear? And this is super important because there has to be a middle ground. Now, I am not asking you to jump without any kind of safety net, but what I'm saying is, how can you make more decisions that are expansive, where your body is telling you yes, instead of you giving into the fear and you retracting? And I think that this is going to bring me to another one of my lessons, which is self-awareness is everything. Self-awareness is everything. Time and time again this year, I was reminded of how many things I cannot see on myself. So I just told you a story about fear, how other people could see that in me, but I couldn't see it on myself. I was convincing myself that I didn't want to do it. I was convincing myself that was easier. I was convincing myself the event was actually taking me away from doing the main thing, which that was not true, because actually the event was in our plan for the year, our original plan, and how we were going to make sales and all the things and what we were going to say, like what we were going to sell. And it was very strategic to actually make the sales that we ended up doing. Right. So I want you to kind of think about this. 95% of our actions are actually unconscious. We repeat the same behaviors, the same decisions over and over and over on different things, day in and day out, without even realizing that we're doing the same thing. And about 5% are new decisions, new things. So I want to invite you to reflect on who do you want to be? How do you want to show up for your business? How do you want to show up daily for the life that you say you want? And one of the exercises that I do a lot around this, and I want to share with you, and then you can go look it up, is Dr. Joe Dispenza's nighttime meditation. He goes from the premise that we go unconscious, right? You say, I am going to be upbeat and positive every day. And then something happens and derails you, or maybe your kids talk to you and you yell at them or you get mad or whatever. And you're like, that's not who I want to be. You know, you don't want to be triggered or whatever it is. You don't want to go live on social media and be scared. Whatever it is, it can be the smallest thing. But every single night, if you can reflect on how close were you from being the person that you want to be? How did you show up for your business? How did you show up for your family? How did you show up for yourself? This is a question I ask myself all the time. And this shows up somewhere else later on another lesson. But self-awareness is actually, again, putting yourself outside of you and looking at yourself as an observer. Can you observe where is your energy going down? Can you observe what are the things that are triggering the emotions that they're not the ones you want, right? You want to live on joy. You want to live on happiness. You want to live on gratitude. You want to live in fulfillment. You want to live on love. You want to live on all these high frequency emotions. And in order to be there, you need to understand when are you defaulting to grief, pain, being mad, self-sabotage, all these other frequencies that the truth is they're brought in by something that is triggering it for you. But you always have a choice. But it all starts with self-awareness. It all starts with self-awareness. I wanted to share this one with you because everything goes back to this. You being able to look at yourself and be, hey, I think I need help with this. Hey, I think that I need to process this. For me, you guys, journaling has been the number one tool. I ask myself questions, asking yourself questions, the right questions. And it took me a while to actually understand the question when I heard other people talk about it. But I want you to think about this. We are not just one whole, like living that every part of us, we have many parts. We have parts of us that love who we are, and we have parts of us that hate when something happens. So we have a part of us. What part? A great question. When we were discussing with my team about the events, like, what part of you actually doesn't want to do the event? And I was like, well, the part that doesn't want to get in like crazy credit card debt. Oh, great. That was a great question because until then, I didn't have that clarity. And then Ali asked me, what part of you actually wants to do the event? And I was like, well, the part that loved it last year, the part that I love hosting events. I love bringing people together. And once I started getting on the high frequency energy on my purpose, it was very clear to me the other part was afraid. So when you start looking at yourself like this, self-awareness is key because then you can start leaning into the things that either you have to work on or skills that you need to acquire or whatever it is that you need to do to get past the things that are getting in your way to reach your goals and your dreams.